Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Yeah.
You know why you're here, right?
Yeah.
You love to learn. You love to really get deep into a topic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want just the surface level stuff. You want to explore and understand. And I think that today's topic is going to be a real humdinger for that.
It really is, and it's one of those topics that kind of hits home for everybody,
Yeah.
no matter where you are in life.
Relationships.
Relationships, how they shape us, what they teach us, and particularly how we can use marriage as like this incredible mirror to learn more about ourselves.
Yeah, I think the idea of a relationship being a mirror is so cool.
Yeah.
And to sort of kick off our deep dive today, we're looking at this really great blog post
Yes.
by Lunar Eyes called How My Marriage Became My Greatest Teacher.
And it's so fascinating because it's a personal story, of course, but she extracts these really universal principles from her experience that we can all apply to our own lives.
Absolutely. And that's our goal today, right?
Yeah.
Like, what can we learn from her? What are the takeaways? How can we, like you said, take those principles and apply them
Absolutely.
to our own relationships, our own growth? So, like, let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
So right off the bat, Lunar Eyes, she kind of lays out this foundation, this idea of relationships as mirrors.
Yeah. And it's deeper than just like, are you compatible on a surface level? You know, do you like the same movies or whatever?
Right.
She's talking about how the people we're closest to, especially in a marriage, can actually reflect back to us parts of ourselves that we might not even be fully aware of.
Ooh, I like that.
It's like they're holding up this mirror and you're like, oh, wow, is that me?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah, it can be a little scary, but also really illuminating.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So she starts off telling her story, and she talks about how early on in her marriage, she had this feeling that she and her husband, had it all figured out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in those early stages, it's like the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Everything feels easy and effortless, and you're like, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, we're good. We're the perfect couple.
Right, exactly. And then life happens.
Yeah.
Right? Kids come along, jobs change, stress mounts.
Yeah.
And that's when those deeper patterns, those unconscious things, start to come to the surface.
Absolutely. And she gives this really interesting example from her own childhood that I think really illustrates this point about patterns.
Yeah.
She talks about watching her parents go through this like recurring cycle of conflict.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So they would argue about these like seemingly small things, and then they would escalate into this huge blow up, this anger.
Oh, wow.
And then they would go into this silent treatment phase, like they weren't talking for days.
Oh, man.
And then eventually they would kind of like superficially patch things up.
Right.
But they never actually resolved anything.
It's like sweeping it under the rug.
Yeah. And then, of course, a few weeks later, the same small thing would trigger another blow up. So she's watching this as a child, and she's like, I do not want this in my relationships.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who would?
Yeah, like this is not the model I want to follow. So, going into her own relationship, she has this very conscious intention. Like, okay, I want to choose love. I want to choose understanding over that kind of conflict.
Yeah. I think most of us go into relationships with these good intentions, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as she so honestly shares in the blog, our intentions don't always, prevent those deeper patterns from coming up.
Right. Good intentions only get you so far sometimes.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really juicy, I think.
Okay, tell me more.
Because she starts to look at her own role in these relationship patterns. She's like, wait a minute. It's not just them.
Yeah.
It's me too. And she's very honest about this. She initially kind of had this belief that she was almost perfect, right? Like,
oh, I know that one.
We all kind of do sometimes, yeah?
Yeah.
And so when things went wrong in her relationships, she would automatically look outward.
Right.
It's easier to blame someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so she talks about this pattern she had of holding grudges and, kind of cutting people off when they didn't meet her expectations.
Classic defense mechanism.
Right.
Protecting yourself from getting hurt again.
Yeah. But it's not really productive, is it?
No, not really.
No.
But it takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize those patterns.
Yeah, and I think this is where the whole mirror analogy really comes into play. Because she's saying that marriage for her really became this huge tool for self-discovery.
The ultimate mirror.
Yeah, because you're in this intense, close relationship with someone. So all those blind spots and less than ideal parts of yourself, they kind of get...
They get magnified.
I
can't hide from them anymore.
Yeah, and that can be really uncomfortable, but it's also where the growth happens, right?
Absolutely. It's like facing those shadow parts of yourself. Yeah, exactly. And it's not like her marriage was, you know, all sunshine and roses either.
Right.
She talks very openly about the fact that they had, really significant challenges.
Yeah, she mentioned struggling with addiction, unhealthy communication patterns.
Yeah, so they were dealing with some real stuff.
Real stuff.
But there was this underlying sense that their relationship had something to teach them about unconditional love. And that's what kept them going.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it really is. But then they have their first daughter.
Okay.
And things shift again.
How so?
Well, it's like all the existing tensions get kind of
Yeah.
amplified.
The pressure cooker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She says that issues they used to be able to manage or, kind of just brush aside suddenly become unbearable.
So it's like parenthood really brought those underlying issues to the forefront.
Yes, exactly. And then she describes this one really pivotal moment.
Okay.
Where she discovers something about her husband.
Yeah.
And she doesn't go into the specifics, but she talks about just feeling this wave of emotion.
Yeah.
Rage, betrayal. Like she uses these really strong words. Deceived, hurt, shattered. She says she went into like survival mode.
Wow. So you can really feel the intensity of what she was going through?
Yeah, it's like reading that passage. You feel it in your own body.
It's palpable.
Yeah. And what's so insightful is how she connects that reaction to her own past experiences.
So it's not just about what her husband did.
Yeah.
It's about her own baggage.
Yes, exactly. It's like this pattern of blame and feeling like a victim.
Right. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. And she kind of introduces this idea of the pain body.
The pain body.
Yeah. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. It's like this reservoir of all the hurt we've accumulated over time.
Okay.
From past relationships, from childhood, from whatever.
Yeah.
And so when something happens in the present, that triggers that old pain. It's like all that unprocessed stuff comes flooding back.
That's a great way to describe it.
And so our reaction is often way bigger than the current situation warrants because we're not just reacting to what's happening now.
Right.
We're reacting to all that old pain as well.
That makes so much sense. I've definitely experienced that where I'm like, why am I so upset about this? It's like not that big of a deal.
Exactly. But it's not just you, it's all those layers of past hurt coming up.
Yeah. And so Lunarize, she goes through this, incredibly painful experience.
Yeah.
But then years later, after the birth of their second daughter, a similar situation happens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And those same intense feelings come rushing back.
So it's like history repeating itself?
Yes. But this time something is different.
What happened?
She has this realization that this recurring experience, this pattern, it's not random. It's not just bad luck. It's like life is trying to teach her something.
It's like a lesson that keeps showing up until you finally get it.
Yes, exactly. And she realizes that her initial reaction, that blame, that victim mentality, hadn't led to any resolution.
Right. It's like a dead end.
Yeah. And so she has this incredible aha moment, she says.
What's the aha moment?
She's like, whatever is showing up in my relationship is an opportunity to dig deeper.
Ooh, I like that.
And to heal. And then she has this other really powerful insight.
Tell me.
She says, I can only know myself by looking at others because they are my mirrors.
So true.
Right. It's like such a mind shift.
Yeah, instead of focusing on what the other person is doing wrong, she's starting to look at her own contribution to the dynamic.
Yes, and she realizes that her husband isn't the enemy.
Right.
He's not the source of her pain.
Yeah.
It's her own reactions, her own unmet expectations.
Yeah.
Those deep wounds that she's carrying.
It's like taking back your power.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And she talks about this tendency we all have to kind of give our power away, to believe that if only he would change, then I would be happy.
Yeah, the classic if only.
Yeah. But she realizes that true happiness, it doesn't come from external fixes.
It's an inside job.
Yeah, it has to come from within.
Yeah.
And so armed with this new awareness, she makes a really radical decision.
What does she do?
She decides to stop reacting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, instead of immediately, going into blame and anger, she chooses to pause.
Okay.
To sit with the discomfort, to feel the pain.
And that's hard.
So hard.
To just be with those uncomfortable feelings.
Yeah, but that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah, you got to feel it to heal it.
Yeah. And so she's sitting with this pain, and she's recognizing it as a pattern, as a belief system that she's been carrying for years.
Right.
And in that space, she makes a conscious choice.
What's the choice?
To let go of judgment, to stop blaming, and to actually appreciate the lesson that this situation is presenting.
Wow, that's huge.
It is, right. It's like she's shifting her perspective from seeing her husband as the adversary to seeing him as a teacher.
I love that.
Yeah, and she's very clear that this doesn't mean, staying in a relationship that's toxic or abusive.
Right. That's important to note.
Absolutely. But for her, she had this deep knowing that leaving wasn't the answer. Awakening was.
Awakening.
Yeah. And she quotes Eckhart Tolle.
Okay.
He says, the more shared past there is in a relationship, the more present you need to be.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I know, right? And it's so true for her and her husband, right?
Yeah.
They have all this baggage, all this history. So it's even more important to be present, to be mindful, to choose understanding and unconditional love.
And that unconditional love might look different in different relationships.
Yeah.
Right. It's not about condoning bad behavior.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we're all imperfect.
Yeah.
And that growth is a process. So maybe in their situation, it was about accepting his imperfections while still encouraging him to grow and change.
Yeah, and to support him in that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so Lunar Eyes ultimately concludes that healing in a relationship, it's not about avoiding conflict altogether, because that's just not realistic.
We're human.
Yeah, we're going to bump heads.
We're going to disagree.
Yeah, but it's about changing how we approach conflict.
Yeah.
So instead of reacting blindly, we bring awareness to our own baggage, our own beliefs, and we take responsibility for our own emotional responses.
Powerful stuff.
Yeah. And she emphasizes that this is an ongoing process for both of them.
It's a journey.
Yes, a journey of learning and growth. And so love, in this deeper sense, it's about choosing each other, even when it's hard.
Even when you want to run for the hills.
Right, exactly. And to use that mirror of the relationship as a tool to evolve and to heal.
So it's not just about fixing the relationship.
No.
It's about using the relationship to help you grow as a person.
Yes. Yeah. And I think her story really highlights the fact that the love we experience in our relationships, it often reflects the love we have for ourselves.
So true. If you don't love yourself, how can you expect to receive love from others?
Exactly. And that's such a powerful takeaway from her story.
Yeah.
It's not just about fixing the relationship. It's about this deeper inner work of healing and self-love.
And I think that's a good reminder for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm hearing from Linarize's story is that our relationships, they offer us this incredible opportunity for self-awareness and growth.
They're like these amazing mirrors showing us who we really are.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly.
The whole package.
And the key is to learn to recognize those patterns, those habitual ways of reacting.
Yeah.
And then to start to make different choices.
To break free from those cycles.
Yes, and when we do that, we can transform not just ourselves, but also our relationships.
It's a ripple effect.
Exactly. And so I would love to leave you with this.
Okay.
Think about a relationship in your own life. It could be current. It could be past.
Yeah.
That's been challenging. And ask yourself, what is this relationship mirroring back to me?
Ooh.
What are the lessons here?
Good question.
What are the patterns I'm repeating?
Right. And how can I shift my perspective
Yes.
to create a different outcome?
It's all about that self-awareness.
Absolutely.
And that willingness to grow.
And that's how we make those relationships truly fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Look for ourselves and for the other person.
Well said.
Thanks.
That's a great place to leave it for today.
It is.
I hope you all enjoyed this deep dive.
I did.
As much as we did. And until next time.
Happy reflecting.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
Bye, everyone.